Hello, this is Hugh Dunstan.
And this is Tim Roberts. We're here today to continue our journey about the important roles of high demand amino acids that keep you active and healthy. And today we'll be looking at lysine, Lysine. Our bodies can't actually make lysine. So Hugh, perhaps you can start by describing why we need this amino acid in the diet.
So our bodies can't make this amino acid, lysine, and that's why it's called an essential amino acid. So we must get a supply of it in the diet. And as we'll show you throughout this podcast, lysine has some pretty important functions. So it's absolutely vital that we get a good supply of lysine. And in fact, lysine's been one of the most known about supplement amino acids. It's been used as a very effective supplement support for all sorts of measures, and it's a really good one to consider.
Before we get to these areas of health associated with a good supply of lysine, Hugh, we should perhaps just reiterate a bit that in fact there are about 20 amino acids, and these are mostly used to form peptides and proteins by binding together into long chains, but also these 20 amino acids have important roles as neurotransmitters and other roles. And there are some 9 which are essential and must be in the diet, and the other ones we can make. So just clarifying that lysine is one of these essential amino acids. So what areas of health are associated with having a good supply of lysine?
The two main areas are growth, so muscle formation of muscles, brains and all your tissues. And we've talked about in previous podcasts that there's this thing called muscle catabolism, or the breakdown of muscle proteins to help support exercise. And this turnover of muscle proteins is actually really vital to keep you going, to help you recover, and that's why you need a good supply of lysine. So you're probably going to get sufficient generally in your diet, but when we consider the other key roles of lysine that you're alluding to, it becomes clear that we really do need a very good supply of this high demand amino acid. So, for example, lysine is used to make a compound called carnitine. Now, carnitine is absolutely critical to you being able to take on your exercise, to use your muscles, to use your brain, and also obviously your heart, because that's going all the time. So 95% of the body's carnitine is actually found in muscles, heart and brain. So, okay, what's its role? What does it do? Carnitine is absolutely required for you to be able to burn fat. So it's like a facilitator of providing energy. It allows the transport of large fat molecules into the powerhouse of your cells. This powerhouse is known as the mitochondria, and this is where all of the energy extraction occurs. So if you've got a good supply of lysine, you then have a good supply of carnitine, and this allows you to actually burn fat and get the energy you need when you need it.
So if we consider that a bit more, the carnitine is very important for oxidation of fatty acids. So that's the basis of the ketogenic diet as well, isn't it? That if we have a diet high in fat and low in carbohydrate, then we are actually doing the keto thing. And the keto thing, of course, is very good for reducing weight.
Well, you raise a very good point, Tim, because what the keto diet forces you to do is to actually rely on your fat stores. So by the way it's designed, what happens is that you reduce your carbohydrate intake and you're trying to push your body into utilising those fat stores. Well, that's great, but if you don't have enough lysine, you won't be able to use them. And so it's really important to consider taking lysine as an extra supplement if you are in fact trying to lose weight on a keto diet, because without that lysine, you won't be able to utilise the energy that's bound up in the fat molecules.
And so you won't be able to reduce weight.
You won't be able to reduce weight, and all you do is feel tired and lethargic.
Yeah, so to reiterate, lysine is required to make the carnitine, and the carnitine is required to oxidize the fats. So lysine has to be in the grains, and it has to be in the proteins we eat, really. Otherwise, we can't get it.
Yes, so one could argue that we'll be getting all of the lysine we need from the proteins that we ingest. But when you consider the relative proportions of lysine in that, if protein synthesis was all that was demanded of lysine, then that would be right. But we actually need to think about eating lysine-rich foods. And of course, I've just mentioned that 95% of the body's carnitine is in muscles, heart and brain. Well, that actually means if you're eating meat, then you're getting an extra loading of this amino acid by actually ingesting the carnitine that's in the meat that you consume. So one needs to look at your diet very carefully, and I think if you are on a vegetarian diet, then some form of supplementation may actually really help in processing the fats.
So I guess you're saying that lysine is a good supplement to take, regardless of whether you are a meat eater or not a meat eater, because you need to make enough of the carnitine to break down your fats. What about the carnitine that's in muscle, in meat that we eat? Does that carnitine get broken down into lysine? Is it broken down before it's rebuilt, or does it go straight across the gut?
That is a really good question, and I confess I don't know the precise survival rate of carnitine in the stomach in the acid conditions. However, if you are eating or considering taking a supplement that will help you boost your carnitine, you're really much better off just taking in the precursor ingredient, which is the lysine, and let your body make the carnitine it needs. If you're taking a carnitine supplement, it may get through, some of it may get through, but it's a much more expensive way of actually providing the body with the necessary components it needs.
Yes, just coming back again to something that our research showed, Hugh, and that is that there are these high-demand amino acids. These high-demand amino acids, of which lysine is one, are amino acids which the body excretes in sweat in large amounts, mainly to conserve sodium ions from being lost from the body. But we would lose a lot of our lysine in sweat and in urine, and therefore, once again, we would need to make sure we're getting enough coming in our diet.
Yes, so we're seeing a pattern here with all of the high demand amino acids. They have very substantive roles in your daily function, your biochemistry, if you like, to help you work in the way you need to. At the same time, these same functional amino acids are lost in much higher amounts through sweat and urine, because the evidence suggests that they're involved in these processes that you mentioned of sodium resorption. It's very important for the body to retain adequate sodium levels, or otherwise you end up terribly cramps and it just shuts down effectively. So it's really important for the body to maintain the sodium levels.
Finally, Hugh, I wonder if you could recap for us what's been reported on lysine supplementation. What scientific investigations have shown where lysine supplementation has been used. Scientific studies have been done on the use of lysine.
Well, as you'd imagine from what we've just explained, with the role of carnitine, studies have shown that you can get an improved level of fatigue because you're providing the body with a mechanism to use the fats effectively to provide energy. It helps build muscle mass. It certainly helps in recovery and in growth. And if you're trying to build muscle mass or maintain it with an active lifestyle, it's really important to have that level of lysine available. And as I said, they've known about lysine for years, decades, and it's been used very effectively in that way. More technically, it's been shown that it's useful in the formation and repair of soft tissues. It has a role, of course, in formation of collagen, and it's also been shown to really help calcium absorption. So that may be a very useful attribute for some people.
All right, then, time's running out. So thanks for joining us today, and we hope that you've enjoyed learning about lysine. Whilst lysine is generally available from foods, highly active humans or those with chronic health issues or those interested in the ketogenic diet may not receive appropriate quantities of lysine to meet the daily requirements. In our next podcast, we will introduce ornithine.
The HDAA, including lysine, have been blended in the appropriate quantities in our Optimate and Electrate products. You can learn more about HDAA by typing HDAA nutrients into your search engine. Remember, HDAA for active humans.
Yes, let's not tape it, but let's type it into our search engine. Thanks very much, Hugh. Bye-bye.